When I first started thinking about changing my life, I thought the hardest part would be figuring out what kind of life I actually wanted. It took some effort to sit down and think honestly about the different areas of my life and actually write them down. Looking back though, that wasn't really the difficult part. The difficult part was deciding where to start. The list was long. I wanted to change almost everything, and honestly, I felt overwhelmed. Every time I tried to change too much, I ended up changing nothing. So I realized I had to start with just a few small changes. Trying to change everything all at once, it only created pressure. And I felt frustrated that I couldn't simply become the person I wanted to be overnight. Because knowing what mattered to me, it didn't automatically change how I had to spend my days. Life already had momentum, work, bills, responsibilities, habits I'd repeated for years, ways of thinking I'd built up over decades. It's very easy to wake up 6 months later and realize you're still living almost exactly the same way you always have. I've done that many times. So instead of asking, how do I change my whole life? I started asking, what's one small thing I can do today that moves me in the right direction? I can plan for tomorrow or Tuesday or whenever, it doesn't really matter, but it only happens today. It's only today I will do it because that's where life actually happens. Not next week, not next month, not on New Year's Day, just during an ordinary day like today. For me, maybe record a video, phone a friend, go for a swim, save $20 instead of buying takeaway, or cook a healthy dinner. I'll try to fit in one or more things each day that I want to do. There hasn't been one dramatic breakthrough, just lots of tiny adjustments, gently nudging my life in a different direction. The changes themselves are actually quite small, but when all added together, they're slowly changing where I'm heading. Changing a lifetime of habits, that first required me to change a lifetime of thinking. For example, if I wanted to exercise more, the old me would schedule a 30-minute or a 1 hour walk 3 times a week. Tuesday would arrive and I wouldn't really feel like doing it, and I'd tell myself, I'll do it Thursday instead. Usually, I didn't end up doing it. So now I schedule 10 minutes once a week. Instead of asking myself, do I feel like exercising, I remind myself exercise gives me more energy and focus for the rest of my day. And because it's only 10 minutes, it feels really easy, so you get started. And most days, I end up going longer anyway. Some days I schedule a swim or golf. Instead of asking myself, do I feel like exercising? I don't have to remind myself that I love going for a swim. So I go and do some laps or play around at golf. It's fun. It's not a chore. It's easy motivation for doing something that's healthy in more ways than one. And I started with just 6 small changes just to create new habits. And they didn't feel heavy at all. So they were easy to repeat, and consistency, that's what you need. After a while, they stopped feeling like tasks. They started feeling like part of who I was becoming. Not because suddenly I became more disciplined, but because my days were beginning to reflect the person I wanted to become. And that's a very different feeling. I realized something else too. Freedom isn't only about building productive habits. It's also about intentionally making room for the things that bring us joy. For me, that might be watching a movie on a Friday night without feeling guilty that I should be productive, or going for a drive on a Sunday morning, grabbing a coffee, walking along the beach, visiting a market. Those things don't really cost me any more money, but the biggest change wasn't changing my routines, it was changing the way I thought about them. I stopped seeing those moments as distractions and started seeing them as part of the life I actually wanted to build. And that's what freedom is starting to feel like for me. Some weeks life gets in the way. I get sick or work becomes busy. My old habits resurface, plans fall apart. That's normal. You don't have to start over again. Just simply return to the direction that you've already been moving in. No judgments, no regrets. Just restart where you left off. And looking back, the biggest changes in my life haven't come from huge decisions. They've come from hundreds of small choices, just repeated quietly every day or on an ordinary day and over time. And that's where real change seems to happen. It's almost unnoticed until one day you realize you're living a very different life. And something else that helped me, or really helped me, was writing down the thoughts I wanted to have. I recorded them and listened to them regularly, usually while going off to sleep. Over time, I found those new thoughts slowly becoming a way of thinking. And next time, I'd like to share that process with you because it made those small daily changes much easier to stick with. Not perfectly, just consistently. Because I've discovered freedom isn't about changing everything. It's built by making it easier to keep moving in the direction you've chosen.